Hi, and welcome to the SEO podcast, Unknown Secrets of Internet Marketing.
You're good at that.
My name is Chris Burris, owner of E-Webstyle.
I am Charles Swift, your internet marketing specialist.
Yes, that's just, we were listening to a podcast the other day, and he was like, I'm your internet marketing person. Insert generic term for human body. You are listening to the most popular SEO podcast on iTunes. You don't know, well, you may notice it if you're watching. We believe that the video quality should be significantly better, and the camera's significantly closer. It's basically in our face right now. So if you may even get some spittle on the camera today.
I don't know if that'd be cool or gross.
Yeah, somewhere in between. By the way, we do have, we usually don't do visual stuff on our podcast because this really does get turned into audio for iTunes. You will notice that there is a visual item. It's in reference to a big event this week, and anybody who gets the reference, hit us up on Facebook. Did I say Facebook?
You did say Facebook.
I did Facebook. You can hit our Facebook page, facebook.com/E-Webstyle, twitter.com/E-Webstyle, youtube.com/E-Webstyle, podcast at
E-Webstyle.com. I'm too good. You didn't give me no more.
That's not going to slide that by you.
Good. It's a Friday.
This is podcast number 124. As always, we like to mention a tip from the previous podcast. And really, last podcast was answering a really long email.
Yeah.
Go back and it had some great real-world answers to real-world SEO questions and problems. So the tip was, for the keywords that you target and that receive the most traffic, you must know to which page Google sends that traffic.
Exactly.
And then we would say go one step further and do SEO, potentially send it in for a SEO analysis. By the way, last night I got our website SEO analysis podcast. One of them is up and live. It's actually on iTunes. I have no idea how to find it. I was too late. I didn't even see if I could find it on iTunes or anything. So if you know how to get to it, go find it. You can actually go to our YouTube page, which we already mentioned, and there you can find a bunch of our website SEO analysis.
Yeah, and if you want one, while we're on that subject, you got a website, you're already watching this podcast because you probably need some help with it, feel free. E-Webstyle.com, right column, fill out the website analysis request, and I will personally, or Chris, do that analysis for you.
Yeah. And then you get it. If you don't want it posted live, then just let us know. We're happy to put it. What we typically do is we put it private, so anybody who has the link does have access to it. We've done that actually for one of our clients that we'll be mentioning today, I think. Product placement for you. Oh, here you want to. Does that make you happy too?
Chris got like 3 drinks.
Coffee,
Diet Coke. Well, 2 drinks.
Today, yeah. Sometimes it's 3. So, no review. No review on iTunes. And you know what that normally means?
The teardrop tattoo.
Yeah. Fortunately, for me, I'm excited because Stoke SEO.
Shout out to Stoke. I know you watching, man. Man, much love.
Thank you so much.
Punch in the face.
Punch. We're going to take this hammer and punch you in the face. That's just off the charts happy. He was tweeting like every couple of hours about how many podcasts he had actually listened. He's been listening to our podcast it's like a marathon. He's like
that long. He can caught up. Like he got 3 or 4 more. He'd be caught up.
Totally caught up. And it gave us an idea. We're going to actually start encouraging you. If you're watching this, hey, tweet. What are you learning now? Tweet that we're talking about Stoked SEO. Tweet something. If you're sitting at your desk and listening to this, it's probably a couple weeks later. If you're at your desk, go ahead and pull up your Twitter account and tweet and use. What should we do? We should use like
pound SEO podcast and the number that you're watching.
There you go.
For example, if you follow us on Twitter right now, you would have seen my latest tweet that said SEO podcast 124 with the hashtag. So yeah, show us that love.
That'll be awesome. And we also had an interaction on, that sounds so like, we had interaction on Facebook, interaction number 195. It's hey guys, I love your podcast, amazing, currently am catching up on old podcasts and learning more stuff to help me in running my business. Cheers, and keep up the good work. Now,
Appreciate it.
I clicked through, and she's actually from Syria, from Damascus, and a good friend of mine, Sam, who was in yesterday, is actually from Damascus originally as well. So, of course, it's a big country. They probably don't know each other, but, check it out. And I noticed that you use Cheers, so you probably learned your English someplace other than the U.S., and he theorized that you learned it in Canada. So hit us up. Maybe you learned your English in Canada.
Yeah, hit us up. Give us a link to your site. Let us check it out. We'll show you some link up.
Let me not forget that we are your friendly, local, neighborhood, top position Snatchers, where our mantra is,
don't be a douche.
Don't be a douche.
They go get that position for you.
Man, news.
A lot of news.
Yeah, there's news. As we all know, Steve Jobs passed away, and that was sad. I retweeted somebody else's was like, I don't know the dude, but I'm like, get a little emotional reading about that, thinking about all the products he's come up with, thinking about what an amazing life he's lived, and it's pretty amazing.
Well, Nick was telling me about a video that he watched that Steve did in like the 80s, where they were talking about touchscreen technology.
Oh, in the 80s.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, and people theorize that he stole it from some Unix developers or some Unix packages, but, the fact of using the mouse and the way we interact with computers was, at a minimum, spearheaded and brought to market by Steve Jobs. I mean, can you imagine if we were still all DOS code? When that nerdy geek guy comes in and starts typing stuff to make things happen on your computer? Imagine if you had to do that in order to create a Word document, in order to put a Facebook post. It just wouldn't be where it is today.
Yeah, that would suck.
Is the AC, somebody turn the AC on? It's sort of warm in here. Let's see, what else do I have here? I've got iPhone is coming to Sprint.
Yeah.
We've been on Sprint for a while.
Still use Sprint, love Sprint, had no problems with Sprint. But I'm going to stick to Android.
Yeah, I think I'm going to stick to Android as well. I'm still debating the iPad, I'm back and forth. I think I did try to pull up Ustream. So our Ustream podcast does not come up on an iPad.
Which is weird because
you probably get the app.
Yeah, I know people with the app who can use it fine.
And there's a Sprint, there's an Android app, right, where you can actually broadcast directly from your 4G or 3G phone, whatever. But that's like that one step, I'll probably end up with an Android tablet. Speaking of it, how does a $35 Android tablet sound?
Like trash.
Useless.
Yeah.
And actually, there's some debate because of the, a conversion of rupees to dollars. One group reported it at $22, another at $35. What it is Android devices in India for Indian students. So, let me buy 100,000. They're heavily subsidized. They're actually $600. They would be $600 list price. But they'll be selling them to schools, their own schools, for like $22 or $35, depending on depending on the rupee exchange rate that particular day. Wow. So I think that's pretty cool. One thing I did mention, this is I think some people forget, they think Steve Jobs is Apple. And some of the other things he did were just phenomenal. I don't know if you remember Next Computer. I remember when I was in college, there was a Next Computer that had a very unique. It was a unique
Next Computer.
Yeah, and it's capital N, lowercase e, capital XT, and I know those letters stood for something or stand for something. That became Pixar. Right, so you think Steve Jobs' computer on the desktop, and then you're like, Pixar, wait, that's Toy Story. Intimately involved in, the animation that we see today. It's his impact is phenomenal. I mean, just crazy. All right, news. Gino, time limit up. We got an email, and this is going to be really interesting, I think. In fact, we met with a potential client called PlanetSeed.com.
And Schlumberger.
Yeah, Planet Seed is a not-for-profit funded either entirely or mostly, at a minimum, mostly by Schlumberger. For those who don't, Schlumberger is a huge oil field services company. So they would be a competitor to like KBR as an example. And that website, so that Planet Seed, really cool website. Their goal, and I got to get that sentence, their goal is to actually take advantage of the Schlumberger scientific expertise around the world and put that to work in underprivileged or underserved educational communities.
Yeah, with the focus on science. I mean, I think it stood for
Schlumberger Education Excellence.
Educational Economic Development.
There we go.
Yeah. And so basically their whole concept is to, you know, take science and put it on the web in different forms and fashions for teachers, for volunteers, for students, and really spread this information globally. So focusing on children and students in very low economic areas who maybe can't afford some of the stuff we have here in the States to improve their education. And so it's a pretty cool company. They're doing some real nice things over there. And shout out to them for punching the face to them for contacting us for some help.
Yeah.
And so
and actually that came from Terry Crosby, one of our podcast listeners. So Terry Crosby, punch in the face to you. Thank you very much. In fact, we should talk about that particular client and see how that's going. It was just, we left with a really good feeling, right? Because, you know, we're applying our expertise to a company that's focused on really doing good. People can get, I guess a good name for it would be like a scholarship, where they'll go in and put in a whiteboard technology, pay for internet for 2 years, and actually have Schlumberger employee volunteers go and teach the teachers how to teach the science and all the things that are available. It's phenomenal, and frankly they need a lot of work, and we're excited to be helping them. The reason I say all that is it's a global focus. So they literally have 7 languages, and it's not a aesthetics. Oh, it'd be nice to have 7 languages in case somebody from a particular language would rather work in their language. That's what's typical.
This is a necessity.
They are actually working with 7 different languages and serving countries where 7 different languages are spoken. Probably more, but those are kind of the foundational languages in those countries. I say all that because this question is about Spanish. It's about the foreign language, which is Spanish. It's actually from a guy by the name Orlando Mergal. His website is accuratecommunications.com. He's from Puerto Rico. And he says, as you know, Puerto Rico is a U.S. territory in the Caribbean. Don't forget, this is America. Some people probably don't know that. Because geography is not our forte. And his question is really interesting. He says, let's say that one of his keywords is, and it's servicios de comunicación corporativa. Excuse my Spanish. And really it's communication services, corporate communication services is how you would translate that into English. And his question is, there's actually an accent over the O in one of the words, and it's actually over comunicación, has an accent over the last O. And his question is, does he need to focus on the word with the accent and the word without the accent if you're searching? And if he does, then, you know, does he need to have all 3 keywords and the keyword tag? And his final comment was, living in a place with 2 languages, 2 cultures, and 2 flags is hard enough, but having to use 3 times the amount of keywords is crazy. And the 3 actually comes from the fact he's talking UTF-8, which is an encoding, how you encode some of those accents, standard, and then ISO 8859, which is another way that you can encode those accents. And so that's why he ends up with 3. And so I did a little research. Some of my, one of the first things that I noticed is actually your website's in English, which is kind of interesting, right? I mean, it's clear you're in Puerto Rico, you're serving a Spanish clientele, and your website's in English. Now, I mean, we've got a couple of Spanish speakers here at our office, and we know that even though Spanish is their first language, they tend to search in English. And I think that's typical of people, at least here in the United States.
That's what I was going to say, and that's the key, in the States.
Yeah, in the States. And so, Puerto Rico, with the tie to the U.S., I think that's probably why your website's in English. I'm just surprised that you don't also have it in Spanish, because this question tells me that you're clearly targeting some Spanish language.
Well, it also indicates to me that that he's probably have a Spanish version in the making
process. Yeah, that's probably true. My next comment was, you said right now for every keyword phrase that has a written accent in it, I'm including all 3 possible versions in my keyword tag. Now, I believe what you were saying there is that's in your meta keyword tag.
Yeah, because there isn't a keyword tag.
Right, and we would say in my targeted keyword to mean on the page. You're saying keyword tag. I think you mean meta keyword tag. Remember, that's almost not important at all.
Yeah, matter of fact, I was looking at Matt's cuts the other day, just kind of, I was actually looking for answers to that question, and I came across one of his older ones, and he was just like, yeah, we don't value meta information whatsoever. The only critical piece of meta information we do look at is meta description, so we can pull a snippet from that to show in the search.
And is title meta? I always get confused.
Title's above meta.
It's above meta, yeah. So the meta description is your opportunity in the search engine result page to make a good impact. So my first comment would be, so that's great. We'll address that in a second. So what I did is I went to Google and I searched your term, the whole thing. So again, it's Servicios de Comunicación Corporativa. I have a hard time with that word, obviously.
Yeah, so I'll let you say it.
I did that search with the accent over the O and without the accent over the O, and compared both results. It's actually there's 4 pages that are not on both. So then I started visiting the pages to try and see specifically the one without the accent, because that's actually the incorrect spelling it's incorrect in English and in Spanish, because in Spanish it's supposed to have the accent. And the only thing I really found, by the way, one of the things I found was there's an all-flash website on the first page. Now, it does get forwarded, and I don't know if they're doing any spoofing. Yeah, well, no. So the website is arvizu.com.mx, and when you go there, it gets forwarded to like index2.html, which is all Flash. So I didn't spend enough time. There may be an in-between page. They may be spoofing Google, actually. So, but if they're not, it's the first all Flash website I've seen on the first page of Google. So what I noticed, I actually went into the pages, and for the most part, I couldn't find comunicación without the accent over the O. What I did find was comunicaciones. Now, I don't know for sure if that's supposed to have an accent over the O, but I was able to find that word. So that might have been some of the situations why those pages were different. If it's not supposed to have the O and people have written it properly, and comunicaciones, Google's actually able to pull that word out of the plural version
and stick it up there.
Right, and it's actually not just plural, but it's communications versus communicate. So that was one. The other that I went actually into the code and looked at comunicación without the accent, and a lot of the URLs, so like pictures, were written without the accent. So my guess is all of the ones on the first page with the accent when you do the search actually don't anywhere have either comunicaciones, or they don't have comunicación without the O as a URL for, say, an image or something. So that's my theory. I don't have enough time to go into it. What it does tell you, though, is there is a difference.
Yeah.
Google sees them differently.
Yeah, so what you should probably do is do that search yourself, look at the results for your industry, and figure out which sets of results are more relevant to your business type, and then probably go that route.
Yeah. And as you compile information, it'd be very interesting to see what do people actually search. How many Spanish speakers actually search without the accent over the O. That would be very interesting stuff. And then the last comment would be, as you're focusing on these, don't target the keyword meta tag, because that doesn't really matter. You actually want to target text on the page.
Yeah.
So you may even have a bottom section which is keywords. Just type keywords and put comunicación put those words that are not accented and should be, put them in just a list at the bottom. That often can make the difference. If it's a high value Spanish word that the company who's kind of dominating has also realized that they need to dominate the improper spelling without the accent, then you may actually need to make a full page dedicated to, say, comunicación without the accent, which has got to be totally weird, right? Because like, let's just make a whole page dedicated to
something wrong.
The wrong spelling of hammer, 3 M's. So I thought that was incredibly interesting and also very salient for what we've been doing. Let me make sure I covered everything I wanted, because I took a couple notes. We're here. Yep, I got all of that.
Chris can't read his own handwriting.
Yeah, that's after I find it. First I got to find the notes, then I got to find the note in the notes, and then I can't read it.
Then you have to decipher it.
Yeah. I guess we'll go with this, right? Yeah. This is a really interesting article that Chuck sent my direction. It's from Search Engine Land. It's published by Pamela Parker. The title is "Google Tweaks AdWords to Give Landing Page Quality More Weight." And frankly, this was, when I first learned that Google for AdWords gave importance to relevancy is when I really kind of honed in on the phrase that we use regularly, which is, as long as you're providing a good experience to the Google user, then you're going to do well. Because in some sense, Google should be motivated to say, look, if you're willing to give me $30, I don't care what the term is, I'll send them to your page. And Google doesn't operate that way. What they say is that if that page isn't relevant to the search term, then I'm probably not going to send anybody there, no matter how much you give me.
Yeah.
And that's kudos to them for longevity, because if they end up with spammy results, it makes perfect sense.
You lose user quality and quantity. But the thing about that article that got me was that I guess this is their first official statement about it,
right?
Because I manage plenty AdWords campaigns, and while you're inside the campaign, you'll see quickly that your quality score will go low, or they'll even give you an indicator that this ad is rarely shown due to low quality score. You click on that, it'll tell you it's not relevant, needs more keywords, and 3 or 4 other deals. And so I already knew that it was important. That it was some relevancy to the landing page and the ad and the keyword. And so the fact that this article came out lets me know that they're probably about to place a lot more weight on that.
Yeah, they're saying ads with high landing page quality will get a strong, and that's in quotes, boost upward in the auction, according to Alferness, who is, I'm assuming, with Google. It's interesting, they actually were doing this test in Brazil and Spanish-speaking Latin American countries before they brought it here. Yeah. So, and Jonathan Alferness is the Director of Product Management at Google's ad quality team. So, frankly, it's pretty exciting for us. What it really means is that the skill sets that we have as an SEO company are even more valuable to pay-per-click. So you knew they were valuable before because you had these relevancy issues, these low-quality warnings, and now they're just saying, flat out, you've got to have a high-quality page. Inbound linking to it is going to matter. I mean, frankly,
frankly, you have to optimize that landing page. No more can you just put up a page using the example of plumbing repair. You can't just put up a plumbing repair page with no text and big graphics and target all these plumbing repair phrases to that page and pay for it. Because let's say your phrases is water heater repair and you're sending them to a plumbing repair page, then you lose relevancy.
First off, it's going to cost more.
Yeah, it's going to cost more.
If it works at all, it will cost more.
Yeah, because the low quality score always equals a higher cost per click. That's how it works. And so instead, if your phrase is water heater repair, your landing page URL should be water heater repair. You should have water heater repair content on this page. You should have water heater repair images on this page.
H1 tag.
Yeah, I mean, this page has to be optimized for water heater repair. And since it's your landing page, from a SEO perspective, it should be designed in a fashion to make it convert. And so, and they're looking at that. And if you do all those things, which is basically optimizing your landing page, then your quality score will get better, your cost per click will go down, and according to the article, Google will rank you higher.
Your CTR will go up. Reminds me of a rap you did. CTR is right, diving, campaign barely surviving. That was awesome.
It's not the air.
Goldman. You done crossed the line. All right, so by the way, if you don't know, Charles is also the SEO rapper and has a number of raps. You got your new site up, right?
Yeah, new site is up. Go check that out, theseorapper.com, designed by my boy Javier, man. So check it out. Hit me up, Facebook, Twitter. Tell me what you think about it.
Cool. All right. Do we have time for that, or?
Yeah, I'll brief through this real quick.
I have no idea when we started.
Yeah, we almost there. Okay, so we were talking about PPC and SEO. I came across this article here from Search Engine Journal, which is pretty cool. 6 actionable ways to use PPC and SEO to improve your results. And so I thought it was key because we do a lot of pay-per-click and SEO here, and we're always looking at data from both sides to figure out how we can improve.
You missed one word, so it's
overall
PPC and SEO data.
Yeah.
So that's important. So
yeah, that's the reporting.
Yeah.
And so number 1 was refine your match types. It says use your SEO data and match by keyword to your paid search data. Identify which paid search keywords are on broad match and review SEO performance. And so I thought that was awesome, which is something I kind of do indirectly.
Right.
But they're basically saying, if you're doing pay-per-click for certain phrases and you have them on broad match, see how many impressions you're getting, how many clicks are those. If you're doing some sort of conversion tracking, which one of those broad match phrases are actually generating clicks and turning into dollars? And if so, optimize for them. And that way you can, stop bidding on them and get your placement up. Or even the number 2 says, well, I'm going to skip to number 3 because it kind of talks into that. It says limit cannibalization. Not canonical.
Oh, cannibalization.
Yeah.
Cannibalization.
Yeah. And so, and basically talking about, it's a big debate. We have that debate plenty of times about people who top bid on key phrases, even though you're already ranking on the first page for those same phrases organically. And so my kind of logic is, if I'm ranking for it first page organically, and I have the budget to bid on it, lower my bid amount.
2 spots is better than 1, yeah.
Or I'll lower the bid amount and come from the second page.
Yeah.
So if you click me on the first page and you happen to go to the second page, I'll be there sponsored. Yeah. So I think that kind of ties into refined match types.
Right.
If you're ranking well for it and it's working, it's worth keeping it in the sponsored ad for
if
sure.
You're really trying to stretch out that budget and you think there's terms that you're not organically placing well for, and you are organically placing well for some other terms, steer that budget to the terms you're not placing well until you start placing well for them. That's
another thing which I'm going to do on our new e-com client, uncover new keywords. And so a lot of e-commerce sites have a site search. Right? When we was looking at that.
Yeah.
So instead of only using the web tools, Google keyword tools and Word Tracker and all these other keyword tools, if you have an e-com site or you're on a regular site with the site search on it, query that from the back end. Save the site searches so you can see what people who actually land on your site are searching for. Then optimize for those. I thought that was great, and I definitely bid on those.
It's great advice on the email from our last podcast, where he had the search, and he's like, people were searching for the craziest things, and so yeah.
Yes, he called them stupid stuff, but another one he said on here, number 4, was content gap analysis. Use PPC data matched by keyword against your targeted SEO keywords. This will help you focus resources on the keyword phrases that either rank poorly in organic search or don't rank at all. And so I think what he was really, in famous terms, was analyzing which phrases show organically and that you're bidding on. So let's say you're bidding on phrases and they're not generating a return, and maybe there's a low impressions, low CTR, you're not spending money on them, but you're ranking well for them. Then you should probably definitely stop bidding on it, because This is not working anyway.
Right.
And the pages that are ranking for them, figure out what those pages are, and kind of go in and tweak your optimization. Maybe you can make that same page rank for a more qualified key phrase.
Yep.
Last one on here, well, number 5 was estimate demand for keyword targets. Search volume estimate tools are good, but they're not always accurate. Use paid search data to get an idea of a potential top ranking phrases based on impressions. Which makes perfect sense.
We love it when a client comes and they've been doing pay-per-click for a while,
man,
right? And in fact, a poorly managed pay-per-click that comes to us has value because it's going to have broader terms. So they're, typically it's like put it up there and bid anything related to plumbing, and we can actually see it. Of course, the first thing we do with that pay-per-click account is weed out negative words and all of those things. But it allows us, because we may have weeded out something that had value if we had managed it from the beginning. We tend not to, and we tend to believe we don't. But if it's wide open, then we've got access to all data related to plumbing at least for them, and so we can see, hey, maybe there's a couple phrases that we didn't think of that we need to incorporate into our SEO actual efforts. And
it basically just covers the inaccuracies. If you use the Google keyword tool, for example, and you're not signed in, it'll tell you, 30,000 searches, local searches for this key phrase over the past month. But if you've been bidding on that phrase in AdWords for, let's say, a few months, your AdWords data may show 4,000 impressions. And so 4,000 impressions is a better number to go with in your decision making over the 30,000 searches
that seem to be available.
Yeah. And so the last one was number 6, identify top converting paid keywords with low or no SEO visibility. That's rule number 1. That's something we've always done. If you're bidding on a phrase and it's working and it's converting into paid clients or leads or whatever your action is, optimize for that phrase. You definitely want to dedicate a page to it, especially based on that article. You should anyway.
Right.
And really try to increase your SEO visibility for that particular phrase. So I think this is a good list. I'll post this article on Facebook so you guys can look at it a little bit deeper.
Cool. One of the things that when we started talking about data is going back to Planet Seed. We did some interesting analysis for them this week. Again, they have 7 languages, and they were interested to know, you have to make this debate.
Arabic,
as a not-for-profit, it costs me money to put these up. They're not just using Google Translate. They actually have translators and are translating it properly, which, by the way, is how I would recommend you do it. And so there's a cost associated with it. And as a not-for-profit, let's just say, as an example, if Arabic language wasn't being used much, or if Arabic language was actually being used in the U.S. more than in Arab-speaking countries, you could make the case that you should stop spending money translating the site into Arabic. And so what we were able to do is pull together, because of the layout is the Drupal website, the layout of it is, and this is classic in a CMS, where everything that is an Arabic language page, almost everything that's an Arabic language page, is in a folder called AR. So we're able to pull up a report of AR, the language folder, Arabic, and where people were actually clicking on those. And they had
Google Analytics.
In Google Analytics. And 10,000, right? 10,000 page views in the last 30 days. And we were able to show which countries were actually looking at those Arabic pages the most. Saudi Arabia,
the huge spike,
blew everything else away. And then there were other countries, Arab-speaking countries, and then there's some in America, there's some in Canada actually. So it's an interesting report. It's interesting how powerful the Google Analytics are, and you can make business decisions based on Google Analytics.
Send that report to him you should definitely keep
doing your Arabic, because people are, people. If your target is underprivileged and you believe that the people in these locations are actually underprivileged and are accessing it, then you certainly want to keep that language going. So
good quick blanks there. Yeah, that was all the way blank. And that one was blank for a reason. Just want to take a quick moment of silence for Apple founder Steve Jobs. Rest in peace, man.
right. Remember, for those of you who are just listening, right in front of the camera here, there is an orange sledgehammer. I will tell you that the orange probably isn't necessary. It is just a sledgehammer. Anyone who comes up with why that's there, what is our reference thought process for that orange sledgehammer, let us know. And let us know on our Facebook page, facebook.com/E-Webstyle. All right, you have listened to the most popular SEO podcast on iTunes. That is because of you guys. We really appreciate you and thank you. We hope you will do 3 things, actually 4 now. Go on to iTunes, create an account, write a review of us. We appreciate it, and then hit us up if you want, and we'll give you some on-air punch in the face. Also, right now, right this minute, tweet and say that you just listened to SEO Podcast 124. Until the next podcast, my name's Chris Burris.
Charles Lewis.
Bye-bye for now.